Yeah, I haven't been doing a lot of witchcraft lately, mainly because I'm so lazy. Um, and like my altar just like sits like in the middle of my living room, and I'm like, I should go over there. And then I'm really comfortable on the couch. However, a couple days ago, my son says two very profound questions. One was, have you ever, no, he says, do you know what I want more in my entire life? And I was like, no, I don't. What is it? And he says, to see a ghost. And I was like, you literally see ghosts all the time. And he's like, no, but I want to like have one here when I want it. I said, nope, that's not how it works. I said, well, not for us anyway. I said, we're not summoning spirits into this house. Why do you think we don't have a single talking board in this house, no matter how much I love them? Because I know you in your little mischievous ass. You're not going to summon a ghost in here, and then you can't figure out how to make it leave. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, next time we're in a haunted space, if I see one, I'll call it out and you can talk to them. He's like, okay. And then about an hour later, he says, when can we do another ritual? And I was like, for what? I was like, for what though? Like, and he's like, well, you know how sometimes I'm at school, I have a hard time. It's like, yeah, he has ADHD and he's on the spectrum, so sometimes he has like rough days. And he says, is there a demon that will help me with that? And I was like, it depends on what you want out of it. And he's like, well, I just want demon to like hang out with me so that I don't get to my breaking point. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's so
And I was
valid.
like, yeah. I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Baby,
And
that's all we
then
do all the time.
Literally.
absolutely.
Just sum up.
And yeah, 100%. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I got just demon for you. I'm like, let's just call on Belial because he'll protect you. He's a big bulldog, you know. And he was like, okay. So I get my little like thing I have. It has a Belial sigil on it, candle holder. So I put that on the altar, light it, and I told Diego, I said, you tell Belial what you want. Because I'll just light the candle because you cannot play with fire. I was like, but this is for you. And so he says, I just want him to come hang out with me and help me not get to my breaking point if people are mean to me, like so that I, tell the teacher and all those kinds of things. And I was like, hell yeah, brother, absolutely. And so he went to school, he had a good day, he came home, and he says, oh, I had a really good day. I was like, great, I'm so happy, that you had a good day and everything worked out. He's like, I'm kind of sad though. And I was like, about what? And he says, I couldn't see Belial anywhere, and I was looking. I said, I was like, buddy, I don't think that's not, you know
He
what, buddy?
doesn't.
Valid. I was like,
Yeah.
but he's not really there to like for you to like see. I said, because how distracted would you be in school if you saw this big giant demon with you the whole time? And he's like, okay, but I kind of just wanted him to like hang out with us. And I was like, he was there hanging out with you. He'd be there all the time. And he's like, yeah, but I wanted my friends to see him. I was like, no. I said, I don't think they'd like that.
Not.
You know what, buddy? That's really cool and really sweet of you.
Cute.
I don't think they would enjoy that. I said, because King Belial is a big energy. He's a really big energy. And he's not like when you see Lucifer or you have Lucifer near you, who also has a big energy, but it can be a little more modest, a little more reserved, depending. Yeah, a little more softer. Since he's got that soft dom energy. Belial's not like that. And I was like, I don't think your friends would have enjoyed it. And I told him, I said, I don't think you would have enjoyed it. Just like full transparency.
That's
but
like, I'm picturing, I feel like this is maybe his like favorite thing to do, I would imagine, is, like a little kid having a Ouija board session with friends and just like scaring the shit out.
Oh, 100%.
Stirring the pot.
Like, you want that right now.
All I can picture is like Diego like on the playground, like, and someone cuts in line like for the slide, and I'll be like, no, and like pushing him out of the way and be like, go, your turn, Diego. A big old bodyguard like next to him. Yeah, that's what I picture. When I'm like, you know what? That's fine, buddy.
Well, he's also great for discipline too. So like, excellent choice, Mama.
Yeah. It just immediately, because it was like immediate. As soon as he said he wanted to summon a demon, I heard Belial be like, me. I volunteer as tribute.
Said hi. I've been here. I done been here.
Yeah, and when Diego was littler, I have a couple of TikTok videos like this. When he was much smaller, he used to put toys on different altars, and he loved putting toys on Lucifer's altar. Yeah,
So
he's so stinking cute. I love it.
Precious.
He used to put trains on Lucifer's altar all the time. It was always trains. There was nothing else he ever put on there. It was always trains. And then we were talking about him and I were talking yesterday. I was driving on the freeway, and he says, "Mom, you know when we drive on the freeway, we go from point A to point B." I was like, "Yep, that's how driving works." And he's like, "Do you ever feel like the highway or the freeway is a portal?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Elaborate. I need more context." And he's like, "Well, because when you're driving on like the regular road and there's street lights and stuff, you have to stop, you have to go." He's like, "But on the freeway, you kind of just keep going, and then eventually you're just there, like a portal." And I was like, "You know what? Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely."
I love this so much.
Like,
all around.
yeah, I was like, "You know what? Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Yes, well done, well done." That was it. That was it. He was just like, "All right, I'm moving on with my life now."
I love that.
Oh,
It's just
it
a
was like-
moment, a question,
Yeah.
and then he was like, I'm satisfied with this
Yep.
answer.
He
He's
usually is.
out of
Usually
his
I like talking
mind.
about it, and he'll be like, "All right, that's good. Whatever."
This is like who I want to be. So
Yes.
Yeah, Diego is like an inspiration in the like childlike wonder of questioning
Mhm.
things, and
Yeah.
you know, and I can relate to that because sometimes Leviathan calls me Inquisitor because I just be asking questions, and he's
Sure.
like, "Do you want to do any rituals? Do you want to go fight something?" And I'm like, "No, I just got questions. I like philosophizing a little bit. Let's just stay here
Yeah.
in my bed and have a chat." And I got questions.
totally.
Yeah. That's how I am with King Balam. Like, if King Balam like comes around, I'm like, "Hey," I'll be like reading a book, and he's like, "What you reading?" I'm like, "You know what I'm reading, you weirdo. Like, you know exactly what I'm doing." And I'm like, "Oh, I was reading this book, dark romance book." And he's like, "Is that a good use of your time, or should you be reading one of these other witchcraft books?" Fucker.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
out.
Shots fired.
Yeah, never mind, I guess.
All right, we'll close this one.
All right, fine. Fuck.
That I was definitely feeling that today. I don't know who from specifically, but I was sitting down and I woke up and the first thing I did after showering and like becoming a person was just play Fortnite, and I definitely felt someone being like, "Are we doing this all day today?" Like, okay, no, we're not doing this all day today. I know I have
Yeah.
to do. Yeah,
You know what? It's been so overstimulating, like all of the information overload that like, yeah, it's hard not to want to just clock out for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think rightfully, and we should be taking time to step away from that shit for a little bit for our own safety and sanity.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
yeah, also no, Belial does that to me. He's like, "You know you have a shit ton of beeswax to melt and go make candles, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I just like sitting. I just want
love
to cross
sitting.
my
I
animals."
love sitting.
Big fan.
In my
Big fan
Animal
of
Crossing,
not
I
getting
just
up off the couch. Yeah.
want to build altars, not be at the altar. Like, no.
Yeah, I'll have just mountains of laundry, and Queen Namath was like, my infernal mother will be like, "Are you for fucking real?" Like, I have mommy issues clearly because Queen Namath will come in and be like, "Absolutely fucking not." And what she'll do, she's like, "Hun," she will steal my shit. Like, if I'm like, I know I have one more clean bra, right? Like, I know I do. That bra's gone. That bra's gone.
Constant search.
That bra's gone. I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, fuck, now I guess I gotta do laundry.
That's so
Yeah.
Like,
cool.
Diego doesn't have any like clean pants or something, or like I'll be like, no, he's got like one pair of, I got this. Like, I got
No,
another
we
couple
don't.
days. Nope, gone. It's or I'll
Yeah.
put it on him, and then the moment it's on, he like spills something on it, and then I hear her just like go like, well, I guess you should really do laundry now.
Guess it's laundry time.
Yeah.
That would work for me.
Right.
honestly.
No.
Such
Pushing
a
me.
That's so fun.
Yeah. Well, we have a new guest today. Her name is Olive. Hi, Olive.
Hi.
A baby.
Hello.
Olive is our pal from the esoteric witchcraft community, and she's here to chat with us about all the things
All
that
the things.
we enjoy in this world and in the other worlds.
No
So,
pressure.
no,
None. Yeah, whatever you want. It's freestyling today. Maybe a little alchemy, maybe a little dream, maybe whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
Anything.
tell us a little bit about yourself, Olive. What brings you here today?
Well, I'm a Taurus.
Like long walks on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the look of food and naps. I'm fat.
Well, I am a medium / alchemist. I work with infernals, as we all do. I've been practicing for a few years now, which is crazy. I've been reading tarot for a long time. And then I probably started the like whole mediumship journey like 2019 maybe. And I've been working with demons for the last 5 years, which is crazy to say. Yeah, so I have a tarot reading business that I really enjoy. Yeah, that's me in terms of the witch stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, tell us a little bit about alchemy and how you got into that.
Well, it's really funny that we started talking about King Belial because it was like the real reason that the interest in that started. It's kind of funny because even when I was a kid, I remember, maybe not a kid, but like, you know, high school when I'm taking chemistry.
You're still a kid in high school.
Yeah.
You are still a child.
In the 10th grade, I just really excelled academically. No, so we know it's actually funny. I fucking sucked at chemistry, like bad.
Same.
So it's funny that, you know, all of a sudden I'd be like, wow, love alchemy. I just needed the like spiritual one, not the like real one. You know.
There's no math in spiritual.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. Give me a sigil, like I don't know what's going on, you know. So yeah, this is going on a tangent, but
That's okay. That's what the show is. Don't worry.
Our whole show is one big tangent. You're good.
This way.
But I remember trying so hard in chemistry, and like I had a tutor and everything, and I worked really hard, and I just could never get the grades. Like I don't know what would happen to me when I would take the test, but it was just like I don't know what the fuck's. And it was a thing where it's like I really should have failed that class, but I think the teacher just felt bad for me, so she was like, "We'll give you." So
you gotta be for effort, baby. You put your all into it.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't get there.
D's get degrees, baby. That's what I gotta say about that. So
I mean, you know, we passed in some shape.
That's it.
But yeah, I remember like alchemy coming up in some conversation in that class. Not for like a long time, but I remember always being kind of interested in that because I was really into philosophy when I was in high school. And so I sort of started to dabble in like, you know, just being lightly interested in mysticism and, you know, stuff. But I never really did anything with it. But so when I started working with Belial in like the end of 2022, and it was only like a couple months after I started working with him. And when I started working with him, it was like all him all the time, you know? So I'm sure someone is but
he needs attention.
Yeah.
He does.
I don't know. It just like I kept getting this push to learn about it.
Yeah.
It kind of started with Lucifer too, because I was learning about like Hermeticism, and then it kind of just jumped off from there. And I bought this one deck. I've always been interested in like Carl Jung, and I bought this deck called the Supra Oracle.
Okay.
And it's like based on a lot of, you know, Jungian ideas, but then so that kind of just led me down the rabbit hole. And specifically, there's this one card that's called the Self card. And in the middle, there's an eye, and then the eye is encircled by an Ouroboros. Love the Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Top 10
Girl,
symbols.
she ate.
Yeah, so
I keep seeing that meme
It's-
in my head.
Girl, she ate.
Oh, she ate.
she ate.
And
I'll
left
have to-
no crumbs.
Yes, really.
Yeah, but so I just started like reading about it, going all in with that, and it was kind of one of those things where when I was starting my practice specifically with demons, and like I knew what I was doing with them, but I was really trying to not define it in terms of like put a label on it, but I was trying to figure out just like what am I really doing, you know?
Mhm.
And so I was kind of looking for that answer. And so when I found alchemy, I was like, oh shit, like this, oh,
Yeah.
this is it.
There
You know,
it
this is what we've been doing. And so it was just kind of that like gnosis bomb, you know, and it's always kind of been
Absolutely.
my thing I've been really drawn to.
I think whenever anyone, I obviously can't say for everyone, but for majority of people that I've seen and talked to, and myself included, especially when you work with infernals, any deities, but any, you know, in any pantheon, but when you work with infernals, especially if you don't come from a place or an upbringing where that's like a normal thing, like obviously like with Diego, like that's just normal, right? But I didn't grow up with that. I think it's so normal for us to be like, I need to put this in a box and a label so I understand. And I remember talking to Lucifer when I was doing my initiation into the Nightshade with him, and I can't remember the exact words, but he remember him telling me, you need to stop putting me in a box, like Lucifer in a box. Because I was like, well, no, because like, you know, you're the Defier, you're this, you're that, you're that. And he goes, yeah, but I'm also this, and I'm also this. He's like, and I'm also just this being, right?
And leaving room for evolution, like that's
right,
absolutely
exactly,
alchemical for sure.
right.
Right.
And I remember him telling me, you have to stop putting me in a box. And he goes, you have to stop putting other infernals in a box too. He's like, because we're more than that. And he's like, so your practice is more than that. Like you're not, he goes, you can give yourself a label if you feel like you need it. He's like, but by not putting a label on your practice, it opens it up to other things. And so that was something I really had to like learn like myself, because my whole life I was like, I have to tell people that I am a certain religion or I'm a certain ethnicity and all of this. And so I think that's like really important too. Yeah, like an evolution, right? Like you have to allow yourself to like be, I think, not only think outside the box, but be like live outside of the box, those four walls that naturally society wants to put on us, you know?
Totally. And I think that's interesting too, because I mean, the whole thing of alchemy, what you're doing is self-evolution anyway. And so it's funny that like finding something that kind of fits as like, oh, I would call myself an alchemist, not because I need to have a label on it, but I think it's like I'm
on your
interested
resume.
in, I'm sorry.
It's on your resume.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's at the top. But,
Yeah.
but like, you know, I'm not, it's not defining me as like one thing, you know,
Right.
many things as you evolve. So that's one reason why it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You can, have you ever had a dream where you could do anything?
Yeah.
All
the time, actually.
Every day.
All the time. My
That's
dreams
nice,
are mostly
actually,
like insane, but also very violent, which used to scare me a lot. But there is a cool tie-in with alchemy, actually. So, like when I was first really studying it, I was reading this book called Jungian and or Jung and the Alchemical Imagination, I think it was called, which is awesome. But you know, it's talking about all these symbols and alchemy, and there's a lot of like art tied to alchemy that like is all symbolic, and you have to like really nerd out with it.
Sure.
But I remember reading something in there about death, basically, and like a scythe, and you know, a death happening, and that's what the first stage of alchemy is. It's a death or a
Mhm.
To
nigredo.
something, right? Like so that it can
The
make something
reaping.
new. Yeah,
Yep.
the reaping. Well, there
Yes.
you
And before I read that part of the book, like a week or two before, I had this dream where Belial cut my head off with a scythe, and I was like, "Oh, like I fucked up," you know, like
You
what
thought
did
you
I
were in trouble.
Yeah,
Well, I was like, you really fucking thought.
yeah,
Guess
like what were we doing?
what?
So,
Just straight children of the corn on you. Just
literally, I guess I'm gonna watch that movie now. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was weird because as I was learning about it, there was a lot of like tie-in with my dreams, and then
Mhm.
some stuff happening in the real world that kind of like reflected what was going on in my dreams. It was very weird. But yeah, very very weird dreams. I last night I texted Valerie this, but I had this dream that I was in. It's really weird. I've dreamed about this mall before, and it always starts the same where I like am driving in the parking lot and I get in one building, but this mall has several buildings.
Hmm.
So
Like a
one
campus almost? Like,
yeah, kind of like that.
okay.
And so I'm in the first building closest to the parking lot, and I'm like, hey, where is this one store? And I'm searching for this store. I don't even really know why I'm going there, like what the point is or what I'm trying to get. But I can't get directions from anyone. So I'm just like kind of wandering. And then eventually I make my way to the other building, and I'm kind of going store by store. And the dream always ends the same way where I'm doing that shopping store by store. And it's like different items each time, nothing memorable or, worth looking into really. But it always ends where I don't buy anything. Like I don't pick anything.
Hmm.
That
It
is
doesn't,
interesting.
yeah.
I like to think that malls are also like a type of portal. I used to work in a mall, and many
Ugh. I
moons
used to work
ago,
at Mall of
and
America for several years. So malls are weird.
wow, yeah, I used to work
It's not
at a
that
mall
cool.
in
Don't
a
worry.
store. No, it's
The
working in a
mall.
mall is nothing fun. And I work like the closing shift always,
Hmm?
and school, and the eeriness that comes like when a mall closes is unmatched. And I'm sure
The
that's why there's a zombie
liminality.
movie where it's
Yeah.
liminality. That's it.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like
Yeah.
a very liminal space, and I'm sure that's why there's a whole zombie movie that takes place inside a mall.
Hmm.
But the the stillness that comes with a place like that is incredible because all day, right? Like it's maybe not anymore, but back then was very hustle bustle. It's very loud. It's very noisy, and lots of people. And then by the time closing happens,
It's
there's no one.
gone. I
But
mean,
Yeah.
but the energy is
infused,
still there. It's a container for
but
energy. So
yeah,
you're
it's
feeling all of that,
exactly.
like, why am I feeling like this on edge,
Hmm.
but seeing nothing?
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Very much that liminal space. So, it would make sense almost that you frequent it in your
Mhm.
dreams because it's like probably a way for your subconscious mind to be like, hey, we're going into a liminal space, we're going into a portal or a void. But you know what makes sense to your brain? A mall. That's what's gonna make more
I
sense to you.
Mhm.
You'll
mean,
freak out. Like,
not wrong. I love shopping. So,
Yeah. Oh, girl. You
hell
did
yeah.
say you were a Taurus.
Yeah,
It's,
yes.
I love it. I love a good
well,
shopping. Shopping
I
spree.
really love
That's
good
good.
shopping. So, yeah, it's not, it's a welcome dream, but it is like super fucking frustrating because, like, I don't know, I fucking hate looking for parking in any crowded space. So the first part of the dream is always just so frustrating. Why am I dreaming about this like super mundane bullshit that I hate?
Like, I fucking hate
And then I'm
parking,
like, okay,
man.
yeah,
I just hate
Well,
driving and going on public in
okay.
general. So
I'm
yeah.
gonna throw this out here because I fucking love tearing dreams apart. But like
yes.
the items that you said you were grabbing, maybe even though you don't buy anything, just felt all very mundane and like clearly you decided you didn't need them. If you're starting with a process that you don't like, first of all, finding a
Mhm.
parking spot, you're looking for something. So maybe internally you're investigating some of those things that you used to want and used to like, and now you're like, I'm
Totally.
Gucci. Don't
Yeah,
need that.
I definitely think there's a lot of that. And
Mhm.
part of it too is like, it doesn't ever feel like I'm searching for something for myself. It's like for other people,
Right.
which is a big
Put it
thing.
back.
Yeah.
Say
So
you don't
it's
need
like,
it, put it back.
right. And like, why am I, I don't want to
It's not
pick
your
something that I don't like, you know?
like not your
Right.
circus, not your monkeys, like
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
even that, like it's like you're picking it up for somebody else and then
Mhm.
your subconscious is like, this isn't for
No.
you to pick up. This is
Yeah.
for
It is
somebody
not your
else to pick up.
task.
You leave
That's
that there, they're looking
totally,
for it, so
totally.
I like it.
There's a lot of that pops up. I mean, even lately in like my own personal readings
Yeah.
around like,
Sure. Boundaries.
boundaries, or paying attention to what are other people's expectations versus what are
Yeah.
like actually mine. And that's been something I've
Mhm.
been bitching about with my partner, even, going back to the news. But like, I'm really tired of having to just follow rules that I
Yeah.
didn't make for myself. So
Yeah.
there's a
Right.
lot of like, I think, frustration with that. And I do think that dream was like kind of highlighting that, because when you get so bogged down by other people's shit, you like forget what you actually want or
Mhm.
what you need,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it
Yeah.
rarely pays off when you do get into the habit of like caring about what other people's expectations are and what other people think. I'm still reading that book,
Mhm.
Courage to be Disliked, and it absolutely talks about this. So highly recommend that book. I'm almost done with it, but it's been fun to like read a chunk of it, take it, integrate it, and then like you really start seeing how other people are like behaving around you, and you become able to like dissect. They talk about like what is your task for you and what is another person's task. So really
Yeah.
being able to boil it down to that makes it really easy to start making boundaries,
Oh yeah.
and separating, like talking to your own internal self about what it is that you want and what you shouldn't be worrying about.
I'm a recovering yes man. And so
Aren't we all? We really are
it's
all
Yeah.
recovering
anxiety.
yes men.
It really is, though. It's
And yeah, no, it is. It's 100% the anxiety. And I think also for us growing up in a time when we were expected to grow up really fast and then in turn parent our parents and
Yeah.
take care of everybody else, and then when it finally came time for us to like be our frontal lobes were fully developed and we're ready to like be our own people, we're like, well, how the fuck do we do that then,
Right. I was like, I don't even know who I am yet. And it took me until
Yeah.
like very recently, like honestly, truly starting to work with
Yeah.
infernals to really be able to put those boundaries down and like investigate my own self.
Yeah, absolutely. It came from me becoming a parent before I realized I need to not give a shit about other people as much. You know what I mean? Like and like or not fighting for people that weren't gonna also fight for me.
Right. The
I think that
reciprocation.
right.
Checking
And I think that
that.
really came down to it too. And then yeah, working with infernals showed me a different part of myself that was always there but just dormant, and because it was overshadowed by other things. And when I finally learned how to tell people no, and that no is a full sentence, right? You don't need to elaborate. But also just telling people I don't have the space for that. I don't, or I do have the space for that. Valerie and I are really good about that. Like if her and I want to talk about something that's a little more heavy or something, I'm like, hey, do you have the space to talk about this? And she'll ask me the same thing. And I think that's really important. Like when you have friends too, like in relationships, to be like, hey, I really want to talk about this, but if you're not in a space for it, please don't take it on. Like we will
Right.
circle back. And I think that's something that like when people get into not just infernal but witchcraft or just bringing that power back to ourselves, like physical and mystical magic, but also in power, just like our own power, like we are our own person. And so I think claiming that and being like, hey, I can't do this, like, or this is not a me, this is not a circus, not my monkeys,
Yeah,
that
claiming
already
your
like
own divinity will do that.
yeah.
We'll do that to you.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
It's
Is
funny
there... Sorry, go ahead, Olive.
I was just gonna say, it's funny how, like, I don't know, when you live for so long doing that, the revelation of like, hey, stop, or like, you don't have to,
Yeah.
you can say no, is like so insanely big for some reason, even though it's so simple. It's this like wild aha moment where it's like, does everybody else already know this? And
That's
I just,
one of those
know?
gnosis bomb moments where you're like,
Yes.
I can say that.
It's like I can tell
And I don't have to care about their emotional response.
Because that's
or
what them
apologize, which is still very difficult. I think for all three of us, we do struggle with like, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's a trauma response too.
Yeah.
I think over apologizing is 100% a trauma response.
Oh,
I see it with Diego too. Like, and I do my best not to give him trauma, but he'll do some. We're all three of us, me, my husband, Diego, all have ADHD. We're all diagnosed. We're all being treated.
Squat up.
Live, laugh, Lexapro.
I know that's right.
That's right. So Diego will drop something. It'll make a loud noise. And I grew up where loud noises, absolutely fucking not. Like, I would be 100% yelled at. So I would jump because it's like a trauma response. And then he goes, I'm sorry, Mom, I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, no, it's okay. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself? Like, is it broken? Do we need to clean it up? So I've had to like try to reel in that like emotion too, like that reaction, because I don't want him to like freak out because like I jumped. So it's that too. Like, you just have to, when you realize, oh, okay, I can chill out a little bit. Like, there's a creator on TikTok, I cannot remember her name, but she does things like this where she takes a cup of water and she just spills it, and she's like, listen,
I've seen that.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. We'll have to put it in the notes.
Or she'll make a mess.
Yeah, she'll make a mess.
I'm
Or
just
she
like,
drops a bowl and it breaks,
satisfying.
and she's like, listen, no one's yelling at me. And I'm like, I have like this visceral reaction when I see it. And but then I'm like, she's right though. Like, no one's yelling. No, it's not the end of the world. No one's crying over this spilled milk, And that was something that when I think I got into witchcraft, especially when I started working with infernals, if I made a mistake, I immediately apologized to my team.
Me too.
And they're like, why the fuck are you apologizing? They're like, you're literally a human with a tiny brain. Like, I expect it, right? Like, these primordial beings, like, they don't give a shit, right?
I'm sorry, I'm so small.
And I'll be like, I'm sorry, I like fell asleep while we were meditating, or I was supposed to read, but I didn't have time. And like, they're like, why? I literally could not care less. Like, and it's like, so it's it was something different to learn, but also like very reassuring, where I'm like, okay, you just have yourself to answer to,
Yeah. It's funny when you, at the beginning, when you mentioned Diego, your son, asking like, who would help me with ADHD, and bringing up Belial, because it's like with that whole not reacting thing that you were just talking about, I always found it kind of interesting how, like the lore of Belial, I guess, and he is very fiery and like very black-eyed and has that, but it was always super interesting to me how whenever something would really super piss me off and I would talk to him about it, it was always kind of like, why do you give a shit? Like,
yes.
Like, calm down. And it's, it was so helpful, because it's not saying, it's never been like, your response isn't valid to what, you know, that fucking was ridiculous. Like, fuck that person. But like, why, you don't need to react.
Why are you worrying about it? Yeah.
Right. Leviathan did that to me too. I can't remember what it was that I was like upset about. And he's like, is this worth your time? Like, what are you?
Is this the hill we're gonna die on?
And it was more of like, help me understand, because like, this is so small.
Yes.
Like, this shouldn't take up this much space in your life. And I'm like,
right.
You're right. It's like you give power to shit like that by focusing on it and letting it ruminating on it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just a girl with a lot of big feelings.
Right.
Why you're
I've got a lot of feelings. I'm in my luteal phase. Get over it.
But he doesn't even too. Sometimes
he doesn't even go here.
Sometimes it's really funny, because like I'll also like be mad and be like yapping about something with Belial, and he'll just be like,
you're right. It's like,
Or he'll just
Okay.
start laughing, and I'm like, okay, you're right. It is silly. Like, it is really silly to be this pissed off. This, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big. Nothing is that big.
I like
it's
having Queen Nama in my circle because she always says that she came in because I have mommy issues, but also because she wanted to like balance out like the metaphorical testosterone that is my team. And so she'll put me in my place, but she'll also go to bat for me for sometimes like when I feel like I'm being ganged up by the boys. She's like, fuck off, like all of you.
Give
And
her
I'll
a
be like,
minute.
yeah, she's
that's
meant straight.
She's just a
Uh,
girl.
she's just a girl. Let me yell at her, not you. Um, I literally had, I call them council meetings, like when all of them are there. And Lucifer's kind of like the big dog in charge of like the council, and then there's all the other people. And if I'm being like scolded by, usually it's Lucifer, because I always make the joke that he's like my dom. If I'm being scolded by him, Namal will be like, that's enough. And then they all like cower. It's great. I love
Yes,
it.
queen.
Yes, my queen. Great.
that's
What
funny.
infernals do you work with them besides Belial? What other ones do you like to work with the most?
Well, yeah, Belial. Lucifer was the first infernal I ever worked with, really. Actually, okay, funny story, another dream thing. I was feeling like super drawn to Lucifer, and I tried to do deity work before with the Greek pantheon, but it wasn't
Oh,
like
same.
clicking for me. I didn't feel that like same connection, you know.
Mm-hmm. I know what you
And
mean.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I started getting really into or just feeling pulled to Lucifer. So I got a reading from Abella when she was doing like just Lucifer messages.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought one just kind of like not thinking much about it, you know. But I was excited to get it, and it like rocked my fucking world pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you know. And he's always felt very familiar to me, but
Same. Yeah.
like that same night, I had a dream where it was one of those dreams where it was like you can tell it's a dream, but it doesn't feel like a normal kind of dream, you know, which is usually when it's like
Like
an
a lucid
infernal.
dream.
Yeah, that's more
Yeah.
lucid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I was in my own bed, and there was just an owl on my pillow. And there were kind of like crystals embedded in his face. And then he started to slowly kind of walk over in my room, and I got up and I followed him. And then he just kind of disappeared in one spot, and then flowers started to bloom where he disappeared. And I was like, huh, that felt weird, you know? So
have-
I
Yeah.
went to Solus.
I have
I was gonna say that sounds very
chills.
like that sounds like
I
Stolas came and
love
paid you a
that.
visit.
Yeah.
I think you told me about part of that. I think you told me about like the crystals in the owl face at one point.
Yeah. It was because I got it seriously the same night that I got that reading. So I was like, was that Lucifer? Like that didn't feel, you know, I don't know. But it's funny because one of the only demons I really knew of from the Goetia was Prince Stolas. So yeah, so I started working with both of them for a long time, and then Belial came in. I work with Astaroth, who I love, and someone else I can't really say, but love.
Sure.
And then Azazel a little bit. I need to like, you know, dig into that more, but I would say the main guy is Belial, and then you know everybody else is there, but he's been kind of calling the shots for a while.
He likes that.
Yeah,
Like
he
that's
does. He
Yeah.
does
very
do
Belial
that.
energy.
Yeah,
Kind of doing that with me lately too. So you know, yeah,
it's
both
kind
of you know that.
yeah. it's a very like him thing from everybody that I've talked to that has worked with him in some capacity is like, oh yeah, like he just takes up a lot of space,
He does.
Big
Also,
energy.
yeah, like to me, like physically too, because like he's so massive, like his like body massive. I actually had a reading. I did a reading, I should say, for my old neighbor. And she it does witchcraft, but she does more of like light work. So the more infernal stuff, like she had no like connection with. She just didn't. So I have a mind exercise. I do a mind maze with some people when they're trying to like dig something out.
Cool.
And yeah, it's very cool. And it's cool because I can um they if done correctly, they're what they're seeing I can see with them. So we're doing this mind maze, excuse me, and uh she has an infernal come through, but I don't want to lead it, right? Like I want her to tell me, you tell me what you're seeing, what they're saying, because I don't want to influence it. I can obviously see and hear and everything that they're doing, but I want them to bring it out. And she says, I see this big, almost like a gargoyle. I already knew it was like the moment I turned the corner of this maze, I was like, God damn it. And I was like, I knew you fucker was gonna be in here. And I was like, so he's like telling me like, shut the fuck up, like let me do this. And I was like, yeah, that was the whole plan. And she's like, he looks like a giant like gargoyle, like he's got really big abs, like carved like almost like in stone. And I'm like, yeah. And so then I was like, ask him his name. And so then she like makes this like guttural growl. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I was like, that sounds right.
I was like,
on
okay.
an energetic level.
Yeah. And then so they have their thing, and so we get out of the maze and we're back into like this plane. And she goes, do you know who that was? I was like, yeah, his name's King Belial. I said the moment we turned the corner of the maze, I saw him and I knew. And she goes, why did I have to do this? Why did I do this like guttural growl? I was like, I don't know. He probably thought it was a hoot, to be honest. I was like,
he's a silly guy.
He's a silly little guy. He's a silly guy.
He wants you to be afraid, but he also wants you to laugh. I don't know.
Yes. I was like, he's got like pitbull energy, like he's got pitbull energy where he's like he looks mean on the outside, but he's actually just like a big moo cow. Like that's basically what he is. And so I was like, real. So I was like, let me give you the lore of Belial, like the biblical lore and all that. So give her this biblical lore. And we've kind of talked about this with Sarah and not Sarah, I'm sorry, with Stephanie and all of that, but he, second to fall, but he chose just like Lucifer, etc. And so she's like, so he's a devil. And I was like, yeah. I was like, they're all. I said, I don't like that phrase. I said, it just kind of becomes convoluted. I was like, yeah. I was like, but there's a lot of, I was like, there's a lot of lore that like when people think of the devil, air quotes, or Satan, they think of Belial, but technically he was the second to fall. Lucifer was first. Blah 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 blah. I was like, but I said, it looks like he's coming in here to tell you to toughen up a little bit, and
he is the get it together guy.
He is very much the get it together. So she decided to do with that what she did, and then she had some questions about. She works a lot of feminine divine energy. So I was like, Lilith, which is very much the obvious answer, and I was like, yeah, like Lilith is gonna be like your infernal that you would want to like talk to about like that kind of stuff. And she's like, what about Queen Emma? I said, you're not ready for Queen Emma. I said, because she's gonna slap you around a little bit. Queen Emma will come to you. She'll come to you. I said, but if you're looking just for like infernal guidance from that feminine divine, hit up Lilith, because she's literally a succubus. And so so I like was talking to her about that. But it was funny to have just Belial just like waiting in the maze like for her, and I'm like, God damn it! Of all of the infernals who have the ability to come to this like little petite like light witch who only only works like in the
Yeah.
light. I'm like, it could have been anyone.
He don't care what
It
you look
has to be
like and what
you.
you do. He does. If he's
I was
coming,
like,
he's coming
dang.
for you. He's coming to
Just like,
collect.
get out of my way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, he throwing bows.
He was very much like, no,
To
this
get
one's
to you.
mine. And I'm
Right.
like, all right, well, have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'll let you do with that what you
Whole energy is so
Yeah.
real because I remember when I first started working with him, I was like, I'm so confused because he's so kind. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I just wasn't
Pitbull.
expecting that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then it confused the shit out of me because I don't know, like a year in, I was like, oh, I want to, you know, like I'm like weepy about something, and it was like, we've talked about this, like fucking get it together, like you
Yeah.
were saying. So it's just like, oh
Stiffen up
god,
that upper lip.
He's like,
Yeah.
stop.
Tighten up.
yeah.
Get
So
it
it's
together.
Yeah, I remember I went to him for that like squishy, like please, you know, I just
Yeah.
want to whatever, and it was like, nope, we're not.
He's like,
doing
not
this.
today, Platna. Not
Yeah.
today.
No.
Okay, cool.
If I
Yeah.
need that squishiness, if Lucifer won't give it to me, I have to go to Prince Sear because he'll give me the squishies. Nobody else will though. Like I'll be
Prince
like,
Stolas does for me. So
Yeah.
does President
we all
Kane.
need one. We all need a
Oftentimes,
squishmallow demon. I really believe that.
I actually believe that too.
I actually believe that.
It's true.
Yeah.
They all
true.
can't be mean to us all the time. I
They
need someone
do.
to be nice to me.
They certainly
Yeah.
do have softness
Let me-
within them, for sure.
Let me cuddle. I'll literally go to King Balam and I'll be like, hey, I need help with this. Like I'm having a really bad day or whatever. And he'll be like, I don't have it in me. Like go see the
He's
prince.
like, I'm not. That's not
Go
me.
see the prince. He's
not
like,
for
it's not
me.
me, baby. Go see the prince. And Prince Sear's like, come on in.
I feel like Lucifer is definitely that. Whenever I'm just
Yeah.
like, you know, blubbering, I'm like, oh yeah, I just
You're gonna cry it out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like a double-edged sword because I'll be, you know, if I go to talk to him and I'm fine, I'm leaving crying somehow. I'm like, I don't even, what was I? You know, it's just every time I talk.
Why did I come here?
Yeah.
Every time I come here, I am abused. This is
It's just like I'm sad.
But it's also low-key abused by yourself because they're like,
yeah, they're like, why are you actually a dick to yourself? I'm like, great, I don't know.
don't know.
Yeah.
like, I don't know. Ask my therapist. God.
That's my mom and dad.
Yeah. When I needed to, like, I don't have my parents cut off, but they're definitely not my favorite people. And I'm not their favorite person. So when I was like, it's time to like kind of keep formalities just like what they are with my parents.
Mhm.
It happened just like a few weeks ago, like right around my birthday, and I was already having like a really hard time. And I remember Lucifer coming in, he's like, why are you so upset about this? I was like, well, those are my parents. And he goes, have they ever showed you that they were anything more than the people that like created you? And I was like, fuck all the way off, bro. I was like, absolutely fucking not. Who are you, my therapist? Get out of here.
What did I hire you for? To therapize me?
No, we're supposed to be here to not do that.
Mm.
I don't know what you're supposed to be here for, but that's not it.
Yeah, I have a parent that I've had to cut off too, and it's been very much the same kind of experience. Like comes in waves sometimes.
Yes,
where
it's like almost like grief.
yeah, and it's weird because it's been a long time, and there was always like anger with that. That was like the leading emotion. So I think I never really like got into feeling sad about it until I guess a couple years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been the same thing. It's like, okay, we can feel sad about this because you're processing it, but like also remember that like
why this happened.
Remember what they showed
Exactly.
you. Like, don't grieve the loss of what you didn't have. I mean, grieve it, but like, don't focus on that because you can't focus on things that were not.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I feel that way too. I also have a parent, not the squad goals I wanted, but the squad goals we got. They was horrendous to me, and we don't talk. I have no interest in talking, and it's been so long at this point where I'm like, good riddance.
Yeah.
I did see her at my grandpa's funeral, and it was weird. She wanted to be next to me all the time, and I'm like,
Like, who are
Fine,
you?
whatever. It's the
Yeah.
last time I'm gonna have to see you, but like
Ugh.
to move into indifference about it does take a long time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I still
Yeah.
have work to do to uproot a lot of the things that she did to me. We're starting EMDR, baby. But yeah, it's a lot to unpack and a lot to alchemize, if you will.
There you go.
Circle back. It's a process, dude. It's a long one. And it's so funny because while we were sitting here, I just like felt the need to draw a spiral. Like Olive and I talk about spirals all the fucking time.
Mhm.
Because
It's
we're
a spiral.
spiraling in this conversation.
Healing is not linear. It is most definitely a spiral because you find yourself coming back to similar places and similar
Mhm.
experiences and feelings, and continuing to like investigate where those feelings are coming from and why you're still feeling them is definitely
Yeah.
part of alchemizing and integration.
Totally.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, that's what's I don't know that all of alchemy is like the just veiled stuff of what we're really trying to say. But this whole like
Right.
philosophy stone and turning metal into gold, it's that continuous refinement of
Mhm.
yourself, but also there's 4 stages that are constantly repeating, and so it's like you might have that first death or like tower moment,
Mhm.
Mhm.
that leads you to being like, okay, what do I need to like cleanse myself of, to just what do I have to remove to really get to the core of what's going on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then after that is the kind of healing process, which just takes fucking forever. And then you get out of that and you're like purified, and that's the stone. But then
Yeah.
immediately you're like, okay, I'm showing up now differently. But now there's like another layer that I haven't unpacked that I have to do the
Mhm.
whole fucking thing over again. So it's
We
like,
had first death, but what about second death?
It sounds a lot like, yeah, like that really intense level of like therapy that you're kind of leading yourself like
Yeah.
in.
Oh, it is.
And obviously like that
Absolutely.
metaphysical like realm of it, and not so much like being led by like a therapist and things, but it does sound like, which I actually think is probably even harder because you have to recognize the death yourself.
Yeah.
It can't come from an outside. It can't come from your psychiatrist being like, listen, this is a really bad habit you have. You need to kill that first, and then we can heal it. So I think that even that is very admirable, like to do, like for your alchemy, like within yourself, because you have to find it. You have to have that tower moment and recognize that that's what's happening too. Because
Mhm.
like we talk about tarot all the time over here, and tower moments, and you could have a tower moment and not even realize that that's what that is, until like
And then
until
you're
it's
like,
all crumbling down around you.
oh
So
shit,
like,
okay.
oh shit, I should have been paying closer attention. So
Yeah, well, the more you do this work, the easier it is to catch yourself falling into those spaces, and that's
yeah,
that's the point. that's
yeah,
that's why you do this work. And I have to wonder with like people who do start working with infernals and like start to feel it's not for them, is because it is so much confronting your shadow before you get
Mhm.
to like, for me, the last 2.5 years, almost 3 years, has been fully deconstructing my own self and really rebuilding
1000%.
myself before I feel
Oh yeah.
comfortable to go back into doing more magic, like doing
Mhm.
actual magic. So the
Yeah.
first 2 years that I've been doing this, it's not that I haven't done rituals, but it has been the more mystical part of it, and like
Mhm.
thought exploring, ripping apart my own beliefs, putting them back together,
Totally.
and being able to be of service to other people who are in that process as well, who need a space to talk about it, because it's really hard. A lot of people don't have access to mental health, and even if you did, like using this aspect of spirituality, working with infernals, it's not easy to go to a therapist and be like, my demons. They're gonna be like,
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, let's up your
girl,
dosage.
what?
We gotta
So,
send you to a grippy side.
like they're gonna
Yes.
5150 you. You're like, you're seeing demons.
Yeah.
Well, I
Listen,
mean,
I've been
that's
going to therapy for years, and I talk to my therapist about everything except the fact that I can see dead people, because I
ugh.
know my therapist, I love her so much, my psychiatrist, and She's very open-minded. I know she is because she's told me, but I know if those words came out of my mouth, she'd be like, okay,
Right.
now let's have a different conversation.
Right.
So
So that's not easy.
there's
to
a time
take
and place for that.
Yes.
Not
some of
when you're
this.
talking to your therapist. Yeah.
And being careful. It's hard to have a full conversation when you can't bring the full context to it. So that's why
Yeah.
I think the three of us are very focused on building community spaces that feel safe to share these things, because we also have experienced in the past where we do open up and share experiences. People are like, that's not right. That's not like factually a thing. And I'm like, I'm not talking about the facts. I'm talking about my experience and my UPG. Like, why are we fighting?
It's so weird that there's this. I was thinking about this in the shower.
Hell yeah. Shower Thoughts with Olive. Another segment on Coffins and Coldbrew. We should just have you pop in for a section and like record it. Send us a thought you had.
We'll put that on Patreon.
Yeah.
Shower Thoughts with Olive.
Okay, I'm sorry. What was your thought?
It was just, I feel like I bitch about this frequently with Valerie.
We both do bitch about it with each other all the fucking time.
Yeah, because there's this like need to be right in these spaces that I just don't fucking understand. It's and what I was thinking about in the shower is like, well, I guess, a lot of people come to this, I think, for feeling empowered in one way or another with yourself. And part of that is like, well, like what I'm saying is what I want to say and I'm going to say it. But then I think people take that too far where it's like, yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want. That doesn't make you right, and like the kind of obsession with just telling other people they're wrong and what you do is the right thing is just like, ugh.
You need to work on your ego still. You need to continue going through the spiral, my friend.
That's, yeah. I mean, it's like what you were saying with Lucifer and not putting him in a box. I remember not shortly after this, I left TikTok because I was just like, I fucking can't. But there was this whole thing going on of people talking about Belial and love and light. And then,
Wait, his love and light? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Which, like, for me, absolutely not. But like, I don't care about telling someone whatever. Like, I just don't fucking care. Do your thing. It has nothing to do with me. I don't care. But it was just really funny to me because so many people after that was said hopped on immediately to be like, King Belial's not that. Like, he's this blah 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 blah. It's just like, okay, if you think you're gonna like define him of all of them, it's just like check yourself, like
really primordial beings. Like,
like
we cannot define him at all.
It's just a bit much sometimes. I don't know. That's my soapbox.
Imagine calling the lawless one.
Exactly.
I can't even remember what they said anymore. I just know it was so silly, and it just felt like someone trying to start a cult. I can see them. I can see them in my head, but I can't remember what they said. And I'm just like, this is cult leader behavior, and you haven't deconstructed your Christianity upbringing. Because I think that, it was weird. And it's interesting because I had another person, like another mutual on the internet, say that they had an interaction with this person who like DM'd them and was like, this infernal wants to talk to you and work with you and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, and they had messaged me and asked me about it. I'm like, I think that's weird. I think that infernal, if they wanted to talk to you, they would talk to you.
Yep.
So this infernal has a message for you,
with but people you need to Venmo me $20 before you can.
Right.
I can lift that curse for $5 billion.
Yeah.
I have my cards have a message for you. Do you want it?
Okay. No.
But you need to cash at me $5.
I need 6 Google gift cards.
I need Bitcoin.
I would be surprised if someone asked me for Bitcoin for an infernal.
Please deposit 1 Bitcoin into my account for your reading.
Here's my Venmo.
If you know what, they have they don't necessarily have they don't have to go through someone else to get to you. I don't like that's so silly. And they would do it a different way. Like it would be someone just saying something off the cuff that you would be like, that's for me.
Messages in general too, not even just from the infernals, like messages in general, like
yeah,
you know, if you feel like the universe has a message for you and you just like you're not getting it, you're not receiving it, I can promise you it's not one of us in your DMs telling you we have a message for you. It's you actively finding a tarot reader or a seer or a witch and being like, I
reading
need
for
help
yourself.
with this. You're gonna find it yourself, and then we'll be like, hell yeah, dude, like let's find out. If someone's in your DMs being like, or in your comments being like, I have this for you. Do you want to hear? No, I can promise you that's probably a bot sending that to you, and it's a scammy McScammerson. So you'll seek out. You have to seek out the knowledge that you want, you know, and that's when you'll find like the real readers, you know, that are like Olive, who like, you know, you want an answer, seek them out, you know.
You have to participate in this.
Yes.
This is not a one-way street. If you want mystical things and knowledge and introspect and stuff like that, you have to actively engage with it and allow it to happen. Not saying that you have to be also like very healthy skeptic too, but
yes,
that's I mean it's a balance.
Take what resonates with everything else, and kind of like we were talking about with the alchemy too. Like if you do spell work, if you do, or if you get a reading from someone, even if you're like not a practitioner, but you seek out advice from the beyond, as I like to say, then if you want to make that your reality, you have to do the work too. Like it's not just gonna show up. I mean, maybe, exchange, but 100%. Probably not. It's an energy exchange.
It's a conversation you're having with the universe and yourself and whoever else might be picking up the phone on the other end, for a lack of a better way to explain that. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it does. That felt like word vomit.
It's it's like a contract with the universe. Like, hey, I want, like, easiest one to say, like, I'm doing a money spell. I need money. Great. Whenever I do a money spell, it backfires in that I have to work more. So I'll be like, here's I have a little money bowl. It's right next to my Baphomet statue. I like that. I do my little thing. Before you know it, within 2 days, I've got who wants to work overtime? Mother.
I mean, because that's the path of least resistance and the easiest way for you to get money without other people getting hurt. And the going back to the spell work that I was talking about earlier in this episode here, it is a ritual with Belial for finances, and I did it one time 2 years ago. Baby, he burnt me out. You have to be so specific when asking for what you want. Give the specific pathways in which you want it to show up, and then also actively pursue those pathways yourself in the way
you want to win the lotto. Go buy a lotto ticket. You know, like
Belial delivers, but his lesson with that last time was like, you be so fucking specific in what you want because I will give you everything because I know what you're capable of.
Yeah, yes, in general, absolutely. You need to be very specific.
So be careful, but also do it. Don't be scared.
What is our phrase? Do dumb magic.
Yes.
Do the dumb magic.
It's the only way you're going to find out. Like that is another aspect of like the witchy community is because of those people who have not deconstructed their own ego and like are talking out their ass, and the pageantry aspect of magic, like it makes people afraid to mess up. You are going to mess up. That's we're human. We do that. We make mistakes, but that's how we learn. Like that's how we got any kind of scientific like theory explained and like confirmed is we did so many experiments and we got to the right place. But how many things do we have to do in order to get there? Your magic isn't going to hit all the time, and that's okay. That doesn't mean you're a bad magician or like bad magician. Excuse me.
I fucks with it.
Bad Magi. Excuse me. My new band name.
That's a good band name.
My new band name.
Bad Magi.
Singles dropping never. Don't worry. but
The
it doesn't
bad
mean
magic.
you're bad. It just means
Yeah.
you got to try it. This door might be locked, but you got to make another door.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite line from Pan's Labyrinth, by the way. Yeah. This door is locked. Make a new one.
There's a lot of like, I don't know, I think I had trouble with this because I did a Patreon for a little while, and I was like, I want to teach in some capacity, and like, I don't know, mostly around tarot and like reading intuitively and stuff like that. But I kind of always felt like I don't really want to, I don't know how to tell people, like, I'm trying to think of what to say, but it just always felt like not super right for me to be like, you have to do things this way. Because I think, there are books about intuitive tarot, but I always felt like that was a little bit of a box, going back to that whole thing is like, you can't really figure out the way that works for you and your like intuition or your psychic senses by doing what somebody else is doing, because I think I also got into this thing of where I would feel like, well, the way I'm doing stuff must be wrong because it doesn't seem to be the way somebody else is doing it, So there's something hard about like teaching there to really get that message across because I don't know, it's good to like pick up tips and that kind of thing from other people to experiment and figure out what you're doing. But I think a lot of people look at some of people that have bigger platforms or whatever as like this is the only way to do something, and that's just
that's
not
so
true.
not true.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with like what they're doing, but I think it's just this kind of unspoken thing of like, well, they must know more, or their way better than my way. So that's hard.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Patreon thing because I was like, I don't want to tell somebody.
Feel like you're telling people what to do. And I totally understand that. Like, I think for Alyssa and I, more of our intentions here with like the podcast and giving such a full spectrum of what like different practices and what different people do is like we want to be a jumping off space. 100%. And I hope what other people take from this going out into like social media land is also saying like, like Alyssa always says, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But it's a place to start exploring. It's not an end all be all. No one person is right. No one person has it all. And if they say that, genuinely question that because that is a cult leader. That they have the answer. They're the only person selling the cure. You have to get it here, and it's this price because of this reason. Whatever.
Snake oil. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly why we started it because I remember coming to Valerie and listening to other like podcasts from people that were not practitioners. They didn't ever claim to be. They would just give stories and things and I'd be like, how cool would it be to tell this from a person that actually lives it? Who sees ghosts, or like Valerie and I who do, and yourself, Olive, who read tarot, who are practitioners, who speak to demons and entities. Because one, I think it breaks it down, and like there is going to be like that taboo part of like what we do, right? 100%. That's just the patriarchy, right? There's that taboo part of being a practitioner.
Oh, and like the deep roots of Christianity within a good portion of our entire society and the entire world.
Yeah, exactly.
Or organized religion or Abrahamic religions.
Yeah. And so that's why we came to the, I'm like, what if we just do a shit talking podcast the whole time where we can just
come clock into the Yep Factory with us.
The Yep Factory.
We're just having thought experiments. We know that we are not always right, so please take what we say with a grain of salt. This is our experience. This is our thoughts, and we're
absolutely.
We're talking out loud, like what you normally do when you talk is out loud, but no, we're just thinking out loud a lot.
Totally.
We also are talking out loud.
Yes.
And that's why we always welcome people to interact with us on social media and like our email. Like if you have questions, or if you're like, you know what, I don't actually agree with that. Here's actually what I think. Yeah. Come on, let's talk about it. We love it. We love Valerie and I love to learn.
Exchange of ideas.
Yeah. And 100%. Like we just had a guest on who last time who is a Norse pagan practitioner. I know nothing about the Norse Norse pagan pantheon, just a few names of a few of the gods, but I don't know anything about them. So about I'm like, yeah, please come on and educate me because that sounds cool
Right.
as shit, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And so we definitely just wanted to make this as a community for people, practitioners or not, just to come on and like listen and laugh and learn some stuff, you know?
Yeah. I think the ability to have a space where people can just talk and like not, expect to be right or wrong or just like, here's what I'm doing is really valuable in a cult world,
100%. Yeah.
There's just not enough of that. And I think it seems like specifically with demonology or infernal stuff, there's maybe a bit of a, not fear, but not wanting to be vulnerable, I think, because it's synonymous with weakness for some, but I mean, yeah, it's not that, my experience is going to be the same as somebody else's or my understanding of reading is the same, but like just hearing what practitioners do is cool on its own.
Yeah.
Because like we're not all supposed to be the same, just we're just people.
Yeah.
Like
I
we are in
mean, even
life, like we're not
outside
the
of
same.
spirituality, we're not the same.
Right.
None of us are the same. We're all unique individuals and have unique experiences and experienced, well, maybe often similar experiences, but we integrate it differently, more
Totally.
Yeah.
do different things with where we've come from, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that if you work with deities, because not everybody that's a practitioner is going to work with deities, and
I didn't for years.
and yeah, infernal or otherwise. And I remember seeing some stuff online about Hecate, who I do work with, and it was I use her kind of like as for this example because so many different types of practitioners work with Hecate, no matter what kind of pantheons they might follow. And they'll be, I've seen people be like, she's more of like a mother figure to me. Other people be like, no, she's more like a sister. People are like, no, she's more like a guide to me. And, but why I think that's so interesting is because if you work with a deity, they're going to be for you what you need them to be. That's the whole idea.
Showing up.
Yeah. And that's why people's teams are different too. Like, like why, like I've never worked with Leviathan, but Valerie does. Like, and so it's like because I said just never needed to. Like he's never been like, you know what, I need her. He's like, nah, she's good. With other people. So we're gonna get from our guides, not as our deities, but our guides too, our spirit guides, our ancestor guides, from like our own life experience and like what we need. They're gonna bring that to us because we got enough shit going on in the real world, on this plane. They'll bring the stuff from their plane that we need,
and the knowledge and the wisdom and the magic and the arcana, if you will.
Yes, absolutely.
And some people do some incredibly clever things that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise, and it creates, like I said, I would love for a space to be a little bit more collaborative instead of like no pearl clutching.
Competitive. That's exactly right. Like
we already
it doesn't
have
need to be.
We already have so much of that already outside of the space. Like we are all so divided to some degree on some issues,
especially
right now.
Sadly.
So
I think too, it's like this space is so small in in like
it is giving small town. You're right.
Yes.
We're all on Main Street together.
Everybody is in each other's business, yapping about each other, and I'm like, y'all, we got stuff to do. We got bigger fish to fry. Why are you?
Like that.
I literally just have to go to work.
That just like I don't know, that perspective I think is needed sometimes when we get in a tizzy about
go outside. The internet
like 15 of us. Like,
isn't the real world. Like we also all are so many different things. Like not only are we practitioners, and yes, that is a good majority of like content we make. But also I'm a normal person. I mean, I'm weird. I'm weird as fuck, but I do normal I like baking. I do normal shit. I like collecting monster high dolls. I'm just a girl.
I'm just a girl.
Yeah. So
I'm playing Fortnite.
hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I just found out there's a Hello Kitty, like I think it's Hello Kitty Adventure, like Island Adventure.
Yes.
It just came out recently, and I'm like, I need it. So yeah, no, that's who I like. I also love stupid shit. Like, yeah, I'm capable
That's
of
it.
that heavy emotional lifting, and
Right.
I got a body full of rage, but also,
I gotta
I
play
love Hello Kitty.
Yeah, there's like a weird, I don't know, that's something about having like a Instagram that's for my witchy stuff, because it all
Yeah.
I think comes off as like serious, because I'm not reading cards about Fortnite, so like obviously
But
I could, but I'm not.
I could,
But like it's funny to me because I think sometimes I would feel weird about people commenting, just being like really kind and supportive, but just like, oh, you'll get through this or whatever. I'm like, I'm also an idiot, like just and like shit posting on my personal,
yes. On my
Instagram,
TikTok,
I love a
like,
good
shit
shit
posting.
posting. We all
yeah,
just,
like
we're here for the memes.
in the year of our Lord 2025. But
After
yeah,
fun.
it's just funny because like there's a big part of my personality that's very like,
Yeah.
Just a big goof. That's all it is.
But
We are
seems
also
like
serious, but also it's not that serious. Like,
not that
don't
serious.
take everything so serious.
It's really
You don't have to be in the trenches all the time. Like, I know we yearn for the mines, you guys. Like, that's
really
fine. We yearn for the emotional, deep work mines, and that's why we do this work. Why we work the left hand path, whether that is with infernals or other primordial deities. Like, that is what we're doing. We are ripping ourselves apart. But also, I just want to laugh.
Yeah,
I just want to giggle with my friends.
And that's why we have the podcast. Like, it's for us just to crack jokes.
It is very cathartic to be able to do that. I think processing a lot of trauma through humor is that's why we're all so funny.
Probably
we're
not.
all so funny.
Yeah.
That's why we're all hilarious.
It does. It does. And it's relatable, like I think everybody, a good majority of people process things through humor and like trying to make jokes about it, and
we have to.
Not necessarily normalizing it, but it does make it easier to digest. Tell you.
I mean, at this point, like, we've already lived through so many unprecedented times. Like, Godzilla could knock down my neighbor's house, and I'd be like, yeah, that's true.
Please.
Right.
Shocked but not surprised,
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Can you do mine next?
That's new.
Don't have to pay rent this month? That'd be great.
Crush me. Sorry.
Every 6 months, there's like an article about like, oh, an asteroid's getting close to Earth, and it's always like
sick. Me first. Do it.
The one we had most recent, I remember my husband like every day like tracking it, and he's like, "It's getting closer."
Oh my god, it burns up in our atmosphere.
When it burns up before it hit us, he was like,
"Don't hope too hard.
Again.
Don't hope too hard."
Foiled again.
Those asteroids always getting foiled.
Yeah.
Just keep score,
This is the weirdest Scooby-Doo episode that never ends.
That's what I feel like my life is. Just one endless Scooby-Doo episode.
Yeah, either that or Twilight Zone, and you're just like, huh?
Yeah. They're on the plane. They're on the wing. There's a woman on the wing.
Am I the only one here? Like,
does nobody see the woman on the wing? She's turned under.
Just Belial.
He's just like deucing it up on the wing.
Surfing.
Oh my.
Gargoyle surfing.
Gargoyle surfing.
I could. Yeah. Okay, so Bad Magi's first album, Gargoyle Surfing.
That sounds like a band you'd hear on MySpace. That's like a band you would have heard like in MySpace in the heyday. Bad Magi.
It's all just cover songs of like early 2000s pop.
But all done like in gargly screamo. So you can't understand anything.
Down. I'm gonna do the whole Boys Like Girls album from front to back.
Death metal,
guttural,
yeah,
guttural demon screams. Guttural demon
I'm
screams.
gonna have to hire out for that. I can't scream yet. Or maybe ever,
Facts.
who knows? It's not easy to practice a skill like that in an apartment.
I was thinking about this because I really want to do that. My partner does that. Not just like around the apartment, but like in bands.
Yeah, just in the apartment going brr,
Like
randomly.
I wouldn't even hate that.
No. You're like,
I mean,
oh.
They're practicing, they're warming up their vocal cords, you know.
Okay, actually, didn't think I would be talking about this. I love going to see his bands, obviously, but like going to shows in general.
Same.
The mic checks are always
They're
so
so good. They're so funny.
It's so funny every time, and his is always like, it's so funny to me, and like I just I just love it. It's
They
just
always start out so normal. They're like check, 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 check.
yeah.
You got them
You got the
pig
pig squeal in
squeals
there.
in there.
I love it.
Exactly. You're
Yeah.
like, all
You're
right.
like, well, it's on.
It rocks.
We all heard that.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thumbs up.
brother.
Good, bro.
I love it.
I haven't been to a show in so long. But I used to fuck heavy with the local metal scene. I don't want to hang out with those people anymore. It's not even
fair.
anybody's fault. I just don't want to do it. All of them coming to visit you for your grindcore culture over there.
I mean, yeah. Well,
I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody there.
It's I mean, I've never really been good about like group things. I don't know. I just always feel like weird about I don't really like to define myself as one thing, kind of like what we were talking about.
Absolutely.
And there's elements of that where it's like, even in practice world of like, well, I'm only this thing, and like I can't like these other things because I do this. So it's just like
just limit yourself so much. That is not freedom to
when
evolve.
I turned 30, when I turned 30 3 years ago, my frontal lobe had already fully developed. But for some reason, the day I turned 30 was the day I was like, oh, my life can begin. For some reason, I don't know what it was. I've always been very much like I'm an elder emo. I've been a scene kid. Like my house, like is very much like looks like you walked into the Addams Family house. But at the same time, I fucking love pink. Like, are you for fucking real? And for so long, I was like, I'm tired of pretending like I don't like pink. God damn it!
I don't know why that's such a rite of like adult womanhood being like, I like that shit.
I like it. It brings me fucking happiness. And I can be fucking hardcore and also have a pink car. Like,
I can be
fuck all the way off.
A silly goofy goober and like just be listening to just
like deathcore as you play your Hello Kitty
on the way to work.
As you play your Hello Kitty
all the
island
words.
game.
Yes. But also smiling.
Just room for all of those things.
Yeah. You can be anything you want to be.
Have you seen that meme that's like, I don't remember what book it was, but it's like a little apple with a worm driving a car.
Yes.
Yeah.
The car is the apple, and it's like me listening to hardcore driving to
right.
It's like that's so real.
There's that one, or like listening to driving on my way to my 9 to 5, listening to like rap about gang banging and drugs,
really dirty
and
rap
like,
music.
You know, the duality of man.
Yeah,
because we do. You know, rage is such a common emotion that like none of us really get to express ever fully because it's not the same thing to do. I'm going to tell you that. So you need your outlets. And I had a friend who like never went to metal shows, but she started dating a guy who was more like into punk stuff. And she's like, I see why you like this, because you guys are the nicest people ever. I'm like, it's because we're constantly fucking processing our shadow and our rage through this form of catharsis.
Yeah. I used to go to shows, not anymore, because my 33-year-old knees would not handle it on this concrete floor. But
there's no tables. I just want to sit down.
Never a chair. I just want to sit down
and just wiggle and just
I just want to sit. We have a really rather well-known venue here in San Diego called Soma. A lot of screamo metal bands, when
Fun.
they're very first starting out, when they're going on like their tour that's just them in like a
Cute.
van, will
I
start at
love it.
Soma.
Mm.
And I remember seeing A Day to Remember there, but when they were first starting out, like
Mhm.
before they became the big famous band they are now,
Mhm.
they were actually opening for a band called Impending Doom, which was a really intense like screamo band.
Mhm.
And so they were opening for them. And they played Downfall was their very first album. And when it breaks, then the everybody starts moshing. The pit, I always sit in the back because I'm like, I'm not gonna get caught up in the pit. I don't like it. I always stay in the back.
I have too many
Mhm.
piercings for the
All
pit currently.
yeah,
For my comfort. For my comfort.
I would moved all the way back, and we used to have this big bodyguard. I think he's since passed. This is when I was like a teenager. He's a big Samoan guy, and he would basically block the pit with his whole body, like from moving any farther back.
Bless this man.
But
Respect.
yes. Well, it just was too much even for him, and so I remember getting knocked down. But the moment I fell,
So picked
17
you
pairs of
up.
hands like hoisted me up,
Yep.
and
Yeah, absolutely. The
I just like
kindness
went about my life, right?
and the respect.
And
Mutual respect for each other is there. It's easy.
100%. And then there was a guy that was probably a couple years older than I was. I was like 17 or 18 at the time. He was probably in his mid-20s.
Just a baby.
Yeah, I was like an actual infant. Was like he was
I
like,
was
"Are you
still
okay?"
crying, actually,
Yeah.
in the pit.
He's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, like I'm fine." Like
I'm
I
Gucci, man.
barely grazed the floor because they had lifted me up so fast. I was like, "Yeah, like
Got
I'm
you before you hit the
totally."
floor.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, "No, like I'm totally fine." And he looks over at like the bouncer, and he's like, "Make sure she gets taken care of." I'm like, "I literally like I'm fine." Like,
I'm good.
and the bouncer's like,
Fucking
"Here's."
nice.
Not
Yeah, like,
even a bruise on me.
yeah,
Yeah.
like if anything, my shoes are just dirty. That's all.
Do you want to buy me a new pair of shoes? Because I will take that money.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
It's so
yeah.
fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It's a fun group.
Ooh.
I love going to shows.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I don't actually like a big offering for me is usually like going to a show or just like saying an end in my head the whole time a band is playing or something like that. But it's funny because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I really like I'm chilling outside with my friends and then I'm like, no, I need to go watch this one band for some reason. So I'll go, and the last time this happened, it's a band called Pig's Blood, and I looked at their album cover, and Belial's sigil is on it. I was like, okay, well that
There
was
it is.
so it's
I
just
see.
yeah. Oh, it's fun when that happens. Music is like a big part of my practice, so
Yeah.
I love going to shows for that reason.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I love him. I love Lyle.
Yeah,
He's I mean, King Payman's pretty loud, but he is probably the loudest of Infernals otherwise.
Yes.
He physically moves things or physically is there, and I
Yes.
think that's just so cool. Anyway, that's another episode.
Any like physical thing I've had happen has been because of him, which is cool. But also like whenever it would happen, I would be like, like but then I'm like, oh, that was so fucking cool.
Right.
But it was really funny because before I first started working with him, I knew he was around because it's hard to mistake that, but I just wasn't really doing anything about it because I was like scared a little bit.
You were also like, again?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, it's the big guy,
Yeah.
The big guy coming out.
Yeah. But the day that I like confirmed I could start working with him, I already had a tattoo appointment to get a large dragon on my leg. It's like, okay, good timing. Very loud. Very loud. Yeah. So I love it. Very loud that way.
Infernals love tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've got a Lucifer tattoo, and
I love that.
They love it. They love tattoos.
I can't wait. I'll get there. but
I have to have money.
Money.
Hey, join our Patreon so Valerie and I can get tattoos. There you go.
Last
Buy
time
our-
it was a request to go to Iceland. Now it's
Yeah, well, that
tattoo
too.
money.
Iceland.
Tattoos in Iceland.
Right? Yeah.
That's it.
It's the only way. It's the only way.
Buy our merch. Well, well, all of it was so amazing to have you here. And we'll definitely have you on again and talk about some more of your dreams and liminal in the mall spaces. Love that.
Yeah.
What about where can people find you? Like in your business and all of that?
Well, thanks for having me on. This was just super fun. My Instagram is astralsludge, and my website where my readings and all that stuff are is in my bio on Instagram. I actually have a reading that's inspired by some alchemy stuff, which is pretty fun.
Very cool.
Yeah, but that's me. That's really the only like witchy space, my website and Instagram.
Okay, very cool. And if you have any questions for Olive, if you aren't able to send them to them directly on their website, you can send them to us at coffinsandcoldrewpodcast@gmail.com. There's also a section for questions on our website at coffinsandcoldbrew.com. You can also find our merch there. Valerie and I are working on some new designs. Hopefully we'll get those out to you soon. We will let you know. So take a look. Make sure you keep an eye on our social media. And if you have any, which reminds me, if you have any suggestions for designs, or if you're an artist and you're looking to have maybe your stuff commissioned for designs for merch, send us an email because we're always looking to support local artists and small artists. And you can also find us on all social medias at Coffins and Coldbrew. And we also have a Twitch. And so we are starting live streams with Twitch every once in a while. They're totally free. They're just for fun to come and chat and read tarot and shit post. So join us there at Coffins and Coldbrew as well.
Us. Give us your most esoteric memes.
Yes. We just want to shoot the shit. Not shit
once
with
again,
you.
walking into the Yap Factory. Yes. I just want shit, man. Okay, bye.
Bye.